Hello and welcome to episode 13 of The Long Haul from uShip. In this episode, we're going coast to coast, starting in Arizona, with an interview with Dr. Eric Buensecuso. Dr. Buensecuso is an optometrist who specializes in night driving. He joins us to talk about tips, best practices, and even some recommendations for gear you can purchase to help with driving in the dark. Next up, we head to the Midwest to talk about Iowa 80, the truck stop that has been dubbed the Disneyland for truck drivers. Finally, we finish up in Virginia, where some new regulations are going into effect that are having a direct impact on trucking businesses, why they're important, and how they might be coming to a state near you soon. Thanks for listening and enjoy. All right, I am joined now by Dr. Eric Buensecuso. He is an expert on night driving, and this is something that really affects carriers as well as anybody who needs to drive at night. But we thought this would be some great information. So, Dr. Buensecuso, thanks for being with us. Do you mind if I call you Eric?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Awesome. Eric, before we get into information about driving at night and your tips and best practices, I just kind of wanted to hear a little bit about your background and how that brought you here.
Well, I've been an eye doctor for 26 years now, and I've been doing mobile eye care for 10 years, and that's how I came to drive 3,000 miles a month and up. I am also a writer. I write blogs and newsletters for various eye care companies, and I'm very happy to be here and share a little bit of my experience of what night driving and driving in general all those miles.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here. Yeah, so you were driving, 3,000 miles a month. I'm sure, you're from Arizona, you said, so a lot of long, one-day trips.
Yes.
What does that look like doing mobile eye treatment?
Well, I would pack my mobile equipment in the back of my car, and I would go to various nursing homes and prisons all over the state of Arizona, from Flagstaff to Winslow to Yuma, basically in one day. That's 300 to 600 miles a day back and forth from my home near Phoenix to Tucson, and wherever it takes me.
Yeah, that's really cool. So I'm sure that you had a lot of firsthand experience then with driving at night. So, it seems like one of the things that you suggest as a way to, combat eye fatigue and help out with vision is eyewear. Do you have any tips or things you consider to be the best?
Well, I bring it up into two parts. One is, of course, the biggest thing about night driving is the glare from lights from the dashboard in your car, from the lights, street lights, to oncoming headlights. And what you can basically do is, and what I did for myself was have a pair of night driving glasses specifically for that. And when it comes to that, the first thing is that if you have an uncorrected prescription, you should put that or incorporate that into your night driving glasses. That'll do a lot in terms of making things clear and reducing glare. The next thing you can do is on those glasses, you can put either an anti-reflective coating with high definition glasses or lenses, or you can tint the lenses yellow or amber specifically. That'll help with glare. And the next part of that is, of course, how your eyes feel. And when it comes to that, I'd recommend some cold artificial tears. You can put artificial tears that you can get anywhere, whether it be Walmart or Target, and put it in your ice box. And you can stop off on the road whenever you feel uncomfortable, put a couple of drops in, and it'll feel so comfortable that it'll wake you up and it'll wake your eyes up.
Hmm. That's an interesting tip. I like that a lot. So when you talk about looking for these pieces of eyewear, so I'm thinking of myself here. Like I'm a contact lens wearer. So um, are we talking about glasses that need to be prescription, or are there options for people that are contact lens wearers?
Well, With glasses, yes, it's recommended that you have a prescription, but if your vision is good enough to pass a DMV vision test, then that's usually good enough.
Mm,
It all depends on everybody's individual sensitivity to glare, of course, but when it comes to contact lenses, you can use the rewetting drops and refrigerate them and put in your eyes. And it'll not only lubricate the contact lens, it's going to make your eyes feel better.
that's awesome. Right. And so, in addition to wearing glasses, and contact, or eye drops, I'm sorry, um, are there any other tips that you have for people that find themselves needing to spend a lot of time driving at night?
Well, when I was driving those many miles, I also used to have an eye mask. You can get them at anywhere, Amazon. Again, they have gel that you can cool, and when you're really feeling tired or your eyes feel puffy or generally uncomfortable, you can stop off at one of those truck stops, which I used to do, and just put them on your eyes for a few minutes and really feel comfortable so you can go on and accomplish your journey.
That's great advice. That honestly just sounds refreshing right now, just in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
So beyond the eye care things like an eye mask, eye drops, finding a good pair of high definition glasses or tinted glasses, are there any other considerations that you would recommend people take into account, or any other steps people should take that are driving a lot at night?
Well, I mean, basics. I mean, get a good night's rest or a good day's rest. If you're driving at night, make sure that you're very well rested. Make sure that you have a bottle of water or very cold water to wake you up. If you're feeling kind of sleepy, obviously, either stop off and get some rest and just stretch, or pull the windows down if it's cold so you can get some fresh air in there to wake you up.
Definitely. Is there anything that people should be on the lookout for, that maybe if they've taken all these steps but they're still having issues? What are some signs that they should go see a doctor?
Well, I mentioned this in the post. If you do all these things and it's still, especially bad for you to see at night, then there might be an underlying disease process going on with your eyes. And I would recommend going to your nearest eye care professional and getting it checked out, because a lot of the diseases masquerade as night blindness, such as cataracts, macular degeneration, glaucoma, and those can only be diagnosed by a qualified eye professional.
Right. Yeah. So this is sort of a, take these steps, and if you don't see improvement, that would be the right time to to go visit your eye doctor, or a nearby eye doctor, for sure.
Yeah, because all these diseases are hidden. You can't know that they're there unless somebody does the right testing to see that they're there. And
Mhm.
a lot of those can be managed as long as they know that it's there. And if it goes unchecked, then it could really permanently damage your vision. And when it comes to driving for a living, it'll take away your livelihood.
Yeah, definitely. Well, this has been really illuminating. It's a good choice of words there, but
Yeah, it is.
I appreciate you taking your time out, Eric, to do this. And it's I think it's something that a lot of people that drive mostly during the day don't really consider. But I've certainly made some late night drives and have found myself in a situation where it is puts an unusual amount of strain on your eyes, and you just don't really think about that until you're dealing with it, and then you might not think there's a lot of practical ways to handle it. So I'm sure this information will be really appreciated, so thank you for sharing it with us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, joining me once again is our favorite recurring guest, Dean Jutilla. How are you today?
Hi, Joe. Good to be back.
Thanks
Glad
for
that I
joining me
never
again.
left.
I
Yeah, you
know.
bet, man.
How are things?
They're good. I think it's an interesting time. It continues to be. But I think we've hopefully got through the worst of it, even though numbers around the country say we haven't, but who knows what the rest of the year is going to hold, but we're holding on tight,
Yeah.
and seeing where it takes us.
Yeah, exactly. Just hanging in. That's all we can do.
So interesting conversation you had with Eric on eyeglasses. I thought that was an interesting piece, and well pointed towards our audience, because they're on the road a lot. So it's covering millions of miles collectively. So it's a lot of it at night. So that's one of those important things to keep that vision going.
Yeah, it's nice to hear that stuff from an actual doctor, because you see those commercials for the Magic HD glasses, and
Right.
you never know if those are real or if it's just snake oil, but it actually sounds like they do carry quite a bit of a benefit. So
Right.
it was nice to talk to him about that, because that's certainly something I noticed. Like I mentioned in the interview, I wear contacts, and at night I find that my eyes they dry out a lot more quickly, and
Mm-hmm.
I just have more issues with that. So it's good to hear those actual tips, and I might actually invest in a pair of those just to keep in the car in case I ever find
Yep,
myself
absolutely.
go a
Yeah,
long way.
I've been a long time glassware. Like my family had an open tab at Lens Crafters growing up as a kid, so we had a lot of Coke bottle glasses going on over the years. Unfortunately, they've gotten thinner, and so a little bit more stylish, I guess you could say. And I know the night glasses are the same way. So I don't tend to have that problem personally, but I know people in my family do, and kind of they avoid driving at night because of it. So there was helpful tips from our good friend Eric.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, with that in mind, wanted to talk about a place that you could probably get an eye exam at, or at least find some of these classes at. It's probably well known to the people listening to this, but it might not be. You want to introduce it for?
Yeah, yeah. This is an interesting place. Again, many of the transporters listening to this podcast, or if you're not a transporter listening to this, it might be a fun place to go. Maybe you visited it, but it is Iowa 80, the world's largest truck stop. And this is about 3 hours west of Chicago on I-80, and thus the name Iowa 80.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a magical land of many things: dentists, gas, you can wash your dog, there's a movie theater, you need a haircut. There's even a museum, a trucking museum there, and I would imagine that there is a vision specialist, I would imagine, on site, but I don't know that for sure, but that's certainly something to check out. But this place is, just to give you a sense of its size, you may not know this, even though you may have visited and think, wow, this place is huge. It is, so, you look at pictures of the Pentagon, right, from the sky, and you're like, wow, what a massive building.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Iowa 80 is 6 times larger than the Pentagon building.
Wow.
I mean, if you think about that for a minute, that's 170 football fields. I mean, that's a lot of Gatorade. And so it's huge, right? And so this place is pretty amazing. If you have not been to it, there's parking spaces for 900 trucks. So if you have your pickup and your trailer, or you got a Sprinter van, or even you're driving a Class 8 rig, there's something for you there as a place to park. So have no fear about that. And it's kind of this magical land. They actually employ 500 Midwesterners, which is pretty amazing. And so it's one of those things that that you should check out if you can, especially with the food and everything that they've got.
Yeah, it sounds like, your normal truck stop has a restaurant, there's some showers, what have you, and some trinkets to buy, snacks and all that. But this really sounds like it's on another level. There's, obviously, like the fast food restaurants are there. There's a food court, but they also have a 24/7 full service restaurant.
Right.
But other little things that you just wouldn't expect to find. They've got a gym, they have a dentist on site, a barber shop.
Yeah.
I mean, who thinks that when you stop at a truck stop, you'd actually have a museum that you can go tour? It's really just insane.
Yeah, I mean, you go for the gas and you stay for the root canal. So I
Yeah,
mean, like, what can be better than that?
yeah,
And but no, do know that because of COVID-19, they do not have the buffet running any longer. I think buffet is going to be a word that kind of drops from the American lexicon, I think, over time, because that's just one of those things that just doesn't quite work in today's day and age of a pandemic.
yeah.
So keep an eye out for that one. But yeah, and the kind of interesting. If you're into trucks and you're into the whole kind of the history of it, there's a cool museum they have there. It goes back to the trucking back to 1903. Joe, I know you were just a young child at that time. And so into 1984 is they have, up to that point, and antique trucks and vintage gas pump displays, things like that. Don't believe they have diesel there, but if you need it, I'm sure they've got it. And then you can also, watch a 60 seat movie theater, but that means probably 10 seat theater because everyone's about 6 feet apart. I'm not sure I did the math right there, but you get the idea. And they even have cup holders. So it's pretty cool. If you get there at a certain time of year, I know that they have the Truckers Jamboree, which is pretty awesome. And they even have a chiropractor. If you're, a lot of people spend a lot of miles behind the wheel, and that is not great for the back. So if you are that direction and you're like, man, I need someone just to look at my back, and everyone's always has different opinions about chiropractic. So I'm not going to claim this guy, Dr. Justin Seifert there is the right guy for you, but I'm saying that there's a chiropractor there. Yeah. And if you go, get an adjustment, see what they think. If your back is hurting, that might be one way to take a look at that. But the Walcott Truckers Jamboree Festival, that happens. I think they're probably going to come back in 2021. I think it was probably canceled this year for obvious reasons, but that's one of the things that start planning your trip.
Yeah. There's just a kind of, you could probably just spend the whole day here, which is probably, if you're trying to be productive on the road, it might be sort of a death trap. But, if you do want to spend some time just getting off the road and relaxing, it really is just kind of like you could go with anything there, which, it's pretty cool to see.
They actually have a saying there, Joe, and I don't know if you've heard this one, but they say, "Without trucks, America stops." And in fact, the owner of the several of the Iowa 80 group, he actually says that without trucks stop. So very much for the trucker and for that road warrior who's out there driving. So if people are recognizing the efforts and the valuable service that transporters provide when it comes to the service across the country, especially at a time right now when supply chains are really challenged, and they're getting better and things like that. But certainly people recognize and value the service that's being provided. So this is a great place to go, the Disneyland for truckers. If you can chance to kind of go by there, bring a mask and enjoy.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. Yeah. I think this would be something, maybe look for some loads coming out of Chicago and,
there you go.
Maybe, plan a fun little route around it.
Absolutely.
That's cool stuff. Thanks for sharing this. I know we were probably going to talk about something else.
So heading a little bit further east. So we've gone from Arizona, where Dr. Eric is based, and then heading out to Iowa, where Iowa 80 is, and then heading out even further east to Virginia. And this is just a real quick story, just to keep an eye on. It's a developing one, and that is the regulations that are kind of kicking in Virginia, and they're finding that there may be these aren't just like guidelines; these are actually requirements, and where carriers may face penalties and shutdowns under Virginia COVID-19 regulations. Mm-hmm. And so there, if you are based in Virginia, there's certain steps you need to take in order to make sure that you're meeting requirements for safety and monitoring and notating where your employees are at, whether you're high risk, super high risk, or you're medium, or you're low, or whatever. And definitely check this out, because the fines are not $125 fine. We're talking like thousands of dollars of fines they're talking about here. So definitely check it out and see what's going on there.
And I think too, it's, in a lot of states, the guidelines for businesses have really excluded trucking companies up to this point. But this is kind of the first we're seeing that a state has also, made some guidelines that do apply to even trucking companies. And it looks to just, looking at it, it does look like worthwhile. It is requiring people to monitor their symptoms, monitor their health, so that if they are sick, they're not, being forced to come into work and expose others to COVID, and also, categorizing employees based on their risk level, so that they are better able to just manage, people coming back to work. And I'm sure that there's going to be some headaches as far as actually going through this on a day to day, but it is definitely something to look at. And I would even say, if you're not based in Virginia, I would still, if I owned a trucking company somewhere else, I would still, start looking at this, because if it is successful, it's something that I could, very much see other states repeating something similar.
Yep.
And that's not something, to me, it doesn't seem like something that you want to be, caught flat-footed about. You kind of want to be on top of this and be ready, so that you're not having to scramble and come up with plans. Some of this is just, there are some, some common things like temperature checks for your employees that are going to be in office or exposed to other people, guidelines for how they need to quarantine if they are showing symptoms of COVID, and really things that just kind of, would actually serve to keep, your business going, and not get sidelined because an employee gets sick.
Right, exactly. And they do mention that in this article from Freightwaves, and they do say that even if you do not have a trucking establishment in Virginia, even if you are uh, driving through the state, and once you set foot outside of that cab into the state, the regulations are really can have an effect on you. So,
Yeah.
maybe if it's worth, if you can bypass the state, maybe it might be a benefit to you. But your point is well taken, in that you need to look at these on a bigger basis, because if it is successful, other states probably follow, which is tough, but it's part of what's going on here, and it's hard to keep track of it all. But that's hopefully been able to inform you a little bit about this in terms of the audience, and keeping safe and smart.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Dean, I think that's all we've got for this week. I appreciate you joining me again,
Sure thing, Joe.
to go over all this. And as always, stay safe out there. I'll talk to you soon.
You as well. Thanks very much.
All right, take care.
Bye bye.
All right, that is going to do it for episode 13 of The Long Haul from uShip. As always, thank you so much for listening. If you're enjoying what you hear, please give us a subscription and a rating on your preferred podcast platform. We'll be back soon with another episode. Until then, take care.